the ARCA Menards Series. Oh yes, who will end their day in Gatorade Victory Lane? We are about to find out. Michael Self, I should say Michael Self, the defending race winner, but it is teammate that leads the field down to the green flag, and we are racing. Christian Eckes.
Sorted on single file, headed for the third one to green, bangs back. Defending race winner Michael Self working the inside. Willie Mullins ducks in line behind.
And the pole sitter Christian Eckes got a great start there at that green flag, but you can see what the draft can do is Leilani Munter in the 55 and Thad Moffitt in the 46 close right up on the rear bumper of your race leader Christian Eckes. They go single file down on the bottom, but up on the outside, we have a driver making some hay. That appears to be, it is the number 52 machine. That is Tyler Dipple bringing the outside lane with him as they will cross under the flag stand and put lap number 1 in the books.
They work the outside line, now eking up alongside that number 3 car of Willie Mullins, trying to crack inside the top 5 as they race off turn 2.
Those headphones are mine.
Willie Mullins in that bright orange number 3 machine had such a great run here at Daytona in 2018. A driver who only had a couple of starts last year, pretty much put all his eggs into the Daytona basket and home with a runner-up finish. He would love to improve that by 1 spot. That is that bright orange number 3 machine tucked down on the yellow line. Christian Eckes will put lap number 2 in the books, and he has led it from the pole position.
Tyler Dipple, though, in these cool conditions, continuing to be Mullins a moment ago. He got by Michael Self. Now he draws to the right elbow of Harrison Burton as they go 2 by 2 at the exit of turn number 2.
Exit of turn number 2 and up the straightaway. Oh, Willie Mullins, there you go. You see a little bump drafting up on our ISM Vision screens. He looks underneath, and we got a spinner as your defending race winner, Michael Self. We go caution for the first time here this afternoon. Willie Mullins bump drafted, it looks like, as he is now spinning down into the grass as well, but he was bump drafting the number 25 Michael Self machine, and then he went to the inside of Self, and the two made some contacts and sent both drivers spinning into the backstretch grass area. Both drivers are able to keep going, but we are under caution for the first time here this afternoon.
We saw that car for Michael Self just momentarily. And we saw in practice for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series machines how both Kevin Harvick and Ryan Newman went spinning, and they were very concerned about what kind of damage is caused to these race cars. Go into the grass. He was able to grab a gear and continue on through the back straightaway, now easing that car back along the front straightaway here at Daytona International Speedway. The pit crew is on the wall. The defending race winner, Michael Self from Utah, on pit lane. So Sunoco Racing Gasoline and immediately start to work on the right side of his automobile to put 2 new General tires on it. But some of the body work on the left side driver's side door is caved in to hurt this automobile so as well, while they also put left side tires on. So a bit of work being done here, and an early incident here for Michael Self, the defending race winner, certainly will have his hands full with a damaged race car in the early going.
And we are getting a great replay there, courtesy of our friends up on the ISM Vision screen. The contact between the two, and Michael Self really had that machine go sideways and caught air as he was flying through the grass. There was some definite front-end damage to that number 25 machine as now we go on board. And there you have it, a great look, again, up on our ISM Vision screens of the replay as Michael Self, as Sinclair number 25, is back underway. He will maintain the lead lap position. But you see there on the ISM Vision screens, the grass that gets dug up by that front splitter, and then all 4 tires off the ground. Michael Self comes back down hard on that concrete, the concrete that lines the inside of the backstretch. Willie Mullins is slowly back to the garage area. So a tough break for two of our top competitors. The drivers who finished 1-2 last year are involved in our first caution. And Joe, we got a couple of takers down on pit lane.
Yeah, that's tricky too. Well, you mentioned those top two drivers that finished just 1 year ago. Anything can happen here at Daytona. You look at Michael Self. This is a team that is running full-time this season of the ARCA Racing Series, the Menard Series here in 2019. And so they wanted and were focused on trying to have a really strong and solid effort here and get out of Daytona cleanly. Certainly they wanted 2 in a row, but today it looks like they're going to have their hands full to try to accomplish that. John Ferrier, one of the Empire machines out of Middletown, New York, is also on pit lane. They were doing some work inside the cockpit of the automobile. They have since turned the car off, but they've got the window net down. They've got a crew member leaning in the driver's door, make it 2 crew members. They've taken that right side window glass out that's mandated here at Daytona International Speedway, and they've got a crew member leaning in to service a driver inside this cockpit of the 44 car. So a slow start as well for John Ferrier out of Middletown, New York, who finds himself on pit lane here just 4 laps in.
John Ferrier started in the 21st position, one of 3 cars in that Empire Racing stable. His teammate, the 46 machine of Thad Moffitt, currently in P2. Another driver who took an opportunity to come down pit lane, Joe Graff Jr., the New Jersey driver, in his first race here at Daytona International Speedway. That 77 machine got some attention from the crew as we look up on our ISM Vision screens. We talked about the front splitter that took some damage on that number 25 machine, and they have cut it off and will send Michael Self back out onto the speedway. But certainly front-end damage on the number 25 machine of Michael Self, your defending race winner. You know, anything can happen here in this race. We have seen that the last 2 years. Just before we dropped the green flag, we showed you the finish up on ISM Vision of this event 1 year ago. Michael Self, he drove from like 14th on the last restart. There was a wreck in front of him, and he drove to victory. So anything can happen. Last year, Michael Self, on the way to Gatorade Victory Lane, led just 6 laps. The year previous, Austin Terrio went to Gatorade Victory Lane. He led just 4 laps in the event. So anything can certainly happen. And Joe Graff Jr., Joe, we talked about him. He made an unscheduled pit stop the last time by, and they are back on pit road. And just like the Ferrier number 44 machine, Graff's number 77 crew has taken the right side window out of that machine, and a crew member is going inside to work on that 77. Joe Graff Jr. a little bit pitted just before the start-finish line, so the right side window, we get a good look here on our ISM Vision screens, is going to go back on. Graff will go back out onto the speedway, but Michael Self once again comes down pit lane on that number 25. Oftentimes here in this race, the Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire, it is a race that you just have to preserve. And one driver who did that last year and drove to a 2nd place finish, who is out early today, is Willie Mullins, and our Joe Koss has caught up with him.
Yeah, Willie has made his way back to the ARCA Menard Series garage. Willie, first of all, what happened from your vantage point midway down the back straightaway?
Well, it was one of those things, the inside line had momentum, and I was getting pushed, and I was pushing, and then, you know, I got Self a little squirrely, and it turned both cars, and it was just a mess. You know, it was one of those things.
I know this is a team that puts so much effort into Daytona here to only go 4 laps. How disappointing is it for you as this team? We see you again.
Completely heartbreaking. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. So it's one of those things. It's one of those things out of our pocket. It hurt it a little bit, so we'll see.
That's Willie Mullins, runner-up a year ago, one of the independent teams. He has become a fan favorite here in Daytona. He is parked in the garage area. The front end of his machine is pushed in significantly after that contact on the back straightaway. He's concerned that the engine may have been hurt as he nursed that car back around under that caution period.
So a tough break there for Willie Mullins, the Virginia driver. County Waste Crow Wing Recycling Ford, number 3, brought on Tony Fuhr, a veteran NASCAR crew chief, to crew chief that car this weekend. Early end to their day. Again, the 2nd place finisher last year, Willie Mullins done for the day. We understand that the 77 Joe Graff machine, the reason why they had to come down pit lane, they had a radio issue, so that was why the crew member was crawling into that car to fix the radio on the 77 Joe Graff Jr. machine. And after several trips down pit lane, last year's winner, Michael Self, the Venturini Motorsports crew has pushed that machine back to the garage area. We are doubled up. The lights are off on the pace car, getting ready to go back to green. Up there in turn number 4, the field has doubled up behind that beautiful Chevrolet Pace vehicle. Ready to get the Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire back underway for the ARCA Menard Series. Glad to have you with us here as we kick off Speed Weeks presented by Advent Health 2019. Green flag is back over the Speedway, and we are back to green flag. It's a great start. Thad Moffitt will slide in behind him. Christian Eckes has led it from the drop of the greens. We have 7 laps completed. 80 laps is the distance here at Daytona International Speedway. It is Eckes and Thad Moffitt out front. They go single file. They are too wide up the back straightaway behind them, and look at that line come. There we go, up on the outside. It is the number 20 machine with a great run. That is Harrison Burton. Harrison Burton on the outside, and that number 20 machine for Venturini Motorsports. The Dex Imaging entry. Harrison Burton, 18 years old, with a great run on the outside. Let's see who will lead down at this stripe. It will be Christian Eckes. That Harrison Burton on the outside. It is moving as they hit the high banks up in turn number 1.
He's got a lot of drafting help up there in the outside lane, as that bottom groove is where Christian Eckes will keep his car right to the double yellow line to the inside of turns 1 and 2. Outside lane is led by Harrison Burton. He looks in the rearview mirror, he sees a couple of his teammates behind him with Gustine there, and then you see that 54 car of Natalie Decker. Gustine, the independent of the two, sandwiched between the Venturini cars.
The former champion in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East, Harrison Burton, on the outside, his first trip to Daytona, looking to lead his first lap. Off the line, but they are side by side, 2 by 2.
And even across the outside lane again in turns 1 and 2, advantage this time by a half a car length goes to Christian Eckes. He runs the low line, the outside lane continuing to be held down by Harrison Burton, who noses ahead as they make their way out of the super stretch.
They are on the super stretch, and you get a great view there up on our ISM Vision screens. Christian Eckes getting a push from his front row starting mate, Thad Moffitt. Eckes in the 15, your pole sitter. Moffitt in the 46, the Empire Racing entry. Started on the outside of row number 1, Harrison Burton. And the number 20 machine, who started P5, will come through the tri-oval. He'll take the lead.
Taking the inside line now. Eckes has to put the front bumper to the back of Harrison Burton. He's Gustine all alone to the outside lane to lead that track. Side side with Eckes now neck and neck for the runner-up spot again, with drafting help from behind with Natalie Decker in tow.
Venturini Motorsports out front. They established the pole with Christian Eckes. They have the race leader in the form of Harrison Burton. As soon as Harrison Burton took the lead through the tri-oval, he put that number 20 back down to the inside, and he will protect the bottom line. Has his teammate Eckes drop in right behind him. So Venturini Motorsports go 1-2 on the inside line. But as we've seen before, the outside lane is a-coming. Harrison Burton will hold on. Gustine brings the outside lane.
Gustine said he had a strategy before the race to be able to dart this car up the outside lane now. Natalie Decker is there along with Riley Herbst, who's going to be driving a variety of different race machines in the Xfinity Series and the Gander Outdoor Truck Series throughout the 2019 campaign, stepping away from full-time ARCA competition, running solidly there third in the outside lane.
Gus Dean, the number 32, Bluffton, South Carolina driver for Wintron Racing, which is owned by Kevin Sawinski, a motorsports veteran from the upper Midwest. Has the hired gun, Gus Dean, behind the wheel of that number 32 machine. They'll second spot behind Harrison Burton.
Harrison Burton was able to jump down below that outside lane. Is starting to stall just a bit. So way around that Christian Eckes number 15 car, who continues to run smooth lines on the bottom, but now gets a good run off turn number 2 and onto the super stretch. Here comes the 32. Gus Dean, he puts the nose alongside Christian Eckes, but Eckes bump drafting to the back of Harrison Burton as they head for turn 3.
Christian Eckes gives his teammate a nudge going into turn number 3. Pushes Harrison Burton out by a car length as they'll exit turn number 4. So a little teamwork there. Christian Eckes in the 15, Harrison Burton in the 20. They will bring it down to the stripe and put lap number 13 in the books.
To the inside, third car in line on the car. He's the grandson of 7-time Daytona champion Richard Petty, and he rides to the bottom lane of the racetrack. Remember, his uncle won in his first ever race, driving a race car here in Daytona, and there's another Petty towards the front, but we've got a battle for the lead midway down the back straightaway.
They are bump drafting up the back straightaway. They are side by side for the lead. Gus Dean on the outside. He gets a push from Natalie Decker. Harrison Burton on the inside getting a push from Christian Eckes. They are off of corner number 4. We'll see who leads them at lap number 14, but this is a ding-dong battle for the lead. A great race here. Early will be Harrison Burton that maintains the top.
Only by a few inches as they came through the trial that time. By now has a half a car length advantage to the bottom, but a side draft employed by Gus Dean. Carolina driver is underneath his number 32, but he races to the top spot in the back straightaway.
And I stand corrected. Once the scoring cycled through there, when they went across the stripe, Gus Dean was the leader. He is the leader now up in turn number 3. Harrison Burton, however, battles back on the inside.
Look at the side draft being used there by the 32 car of Gus Dean. Through the middle of the turn, he drops right down, rubs alongside the right side door of Harrison Burton. That's where he's getting the speed from, is now they come through the stripe and by an inch.
Gus Dean led lap 14, Harrison 15. Remember, 80 laps make up the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire. 2 by 2 for about the first 8 rows. There was a straight away. Gus Dean takes the outside lane and inches ahead.
Losing a little bit of ground behind is Natalie Decker. We'll see how that impacts Gus Dean. Apparently not at all, as he takes sole possession of the top spot into turns 3 and 4. Gus Dean to the top here at Daytona. He continues to run the outside lane. Natalie Decker is there along with Riley Herbst, all drafting to the high side, and now Dean through the trial drops down to the double yellow line and pulls in front of Harrison Burton.
Inside Gus Dean once again. That'll lead Natalie Decker for last year's pole sitter to lead the outside line as she tries to bring it up to the front. DGR Crosley in the number 54 team, driven by Natalie Decker. She won this car a handful of times in 2019. Of course, she was our pole sitter last year. Had a great run, a great rookie campaign in 2018, did Natalie Decker. She wants to go to Gatorade Victory Lane here at the World Center of Racing.
And Natalie Decker is not just a strong contender when it comes to stock car competition. She drives a variety of race cars, including road racing in Europe, a new venture for her in the 2019 season. Very talented driver. And David team. She gets a big outside lane from Riley Herbst and Daytona newcomer Connor Hall in that Chad Bryant Racing number 22, running strong inside the top 10.
Riley Herbst, the number 18 machine, Las Vegas, Nevada driver. Mark McFarland up on the box. They're calling the shots. Riley Herbst, 2017 ARCA Rookie of the Year, the ARCA Menards Series, as Riley Herbst in that number 18 tries to push Natalie Decker and the outside lane up to the front. Right now off of turn number 4, though, it will continue to be the outside lane, which is led by the number 32 machine of Gus Dean.
Through the line, it's Dean out in front. The top 3 are able to break away. That is a side-by-side battle. Leilani Munter on his back bumper. And then to the outside lane, it's Natalie Decker and Riley Herbst.
We look up on our ISM Vision screens, and once again, Joe Graff Jr. into the pit area. This time, however, the hood goes up. Some water goes in the radiator, so an obvious issue on the 77 machine. A driver who finished 8th in the championship standings 1 year ago, making his first Daytona start. Joe Graff Jr., the New Jersey driver, having a rough go of it here early on in this Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire.
That time down the back straightaway, the inside lane became a little bit more disorganized. That Moffitt had Leilani Munter. But she fell on car lanes back as they have to work around the down through the front straightaway. That allowed Natalie Decker to bypass Thad Moffitt, and now it becomes a 4-car draft among the leaders.
Natalie Decker, the number 54 machine, puts that Toyota down on the bottom lane, and as you said, Joe, the top 4 now will break away single down on the bottom yellow into turn number 3. It continues to be led by Gus Dean as we have 19 laps in the book. Gus Dean leads the inside lane down off of turn number 4.
First time all race long that we see any single file action at the front. Before that first caution, they went single file a bit. Good spot. See if she can jump out in front of Riley Herbst, but Herbst fills the spot to the outside of the 18, and now they go side by side for position 6.
And a couple of drivers get hung out on the outside. That allows the 46 machine of Thad Moffitt to pull up on the inside and tuck right up underneath Natalie Decker. It's now a 5-car single up front as they're in turn number 3. So 5 cars up front off of turn number 4, single file. Gus Dean continues to lead the pack. It is a pack with Harrison Burton, Christian up into turn number 1.
As they go back into turns 1 and 2, Riley Herbst looks in the rearview mirror, and Connor Hall is not quite close enough to provide any drafting help. That gives a slight edge to Leilani Munter on the bottom lane. She gets a little bit out of shape at the exit of turn number 2. She's able to keep it pointed in the right direction and pursue the top 5.
We have had 3 leaders here in the first 2 laps. Christian Eckes and your current race leader, Gus Dean, have all taken turns up front. Just 1 caution flag has slowed us down here in the early going. Gus Dean will put lap number 22 in the books as that 5-car breakaway in the 55. Catch that lead 5.
Only 2 cars stacked up in the high lane of the racetrack. And then you look to that bottom line, you have Leilani Munter to the inside, green 55. Then Tyler Dipple in the 52 car. He was leading that outside draft inside the top 5 early in the event. Brett Holmes stacked up to the bottom lane. But here's the advantage of the back straightaway. 2 cars better than 4. Riley Herbst, a slight edge over Munter off the end of the back straightaway.
Our practice session that we had on, and one of our practice session that the ARCA Menards Series drivers had on Friday. We saw some pack drafting and some pack practicing, and Leilani Munter's number 55 appeared to be well, she is trying to lead back up to the front side. Leilani Munter, the number 55, making her final appearance here in the ARCA Menards Series. Series and her final appearance at Daytona.
After an 18-year driving career in stock cars, now in that 55, would love to be able to go out on top. But how about another driver that we haven't talked about yet? Car number 63, that silver machine has pulled to the outside lane. That is Dave Maynard III. His dad raced in the Daytona 500 back in 1961. Let's see if you can find Daytona glory. Just outside the top 10, pulls to the outside, and that white and red number 52.
And Riley Herbst there was able to get by Lilani Munter and 18 right now. Riley Herbst now inches ahead of Lilani Munter. On the bottom, he will try and really get into the top 5. Absolutely a great call, Joe. The number 63 machine, Dave Maynard III, running inside the top 10. The veteran from Alabama, really just a handful of starts in the ARCA Menard Series, 10 to be exact. A winner back in 1991 at Michigan International Speedway, and just one previous Daytona. That's your top 5. Of course, up on our ISM Vision screen, across the top, gives you the full field rundown and how far they are behind the leader. There is the number 46 machine, Thad Moffitt. You mentioned, or you heard Joe Koss earlier tell you he's the grandson of Richard Petty, the nephew of Kyle Petty, and he is having a great run currently, P5.
Keep in mind, coming up on possibly some green flag pit stops. Remember, the pit window for today's race, as we noted on the ISM screen, 30 to 35 laps here today. So keep an eye on that. Also keep an eye on Thad Moffitt. We just saw him up on the ISM screen, and it's possible that the window net might be able to get loose on that automobile, and so they're monitoring the situation to see if he may have to come back early to have that attended to. And there you see it again. Look at that 46. The driver's side window net appears as though it is not up in the proper position. He's trying to hold it up as they navigate down the back straightaway, but at speeds of 183 miles per hour, it's not easy to drive one-handed.
The Performance Plus Motor Oil Chevrolet number 46, the 18-year-old driver. That is a tough break indeed. My, oh my, you don't see that very often where the window comes dislodged, and he will. Joe, head your way. Thad Moffitt in the 46 is down. He will bring that machine straight to 1 speed limit, and brings that Performance Plus Motor Oil number 46 down to the attention of his crew to fix that window then.
He is pitted all the way on the turn 1 end of pit lane. So he's going to racing number 26, still holding that window net up as he comes down pit lane, and now slowly brings that machine to a stop. Pit sign is out. They will take the opportunity to put some Sunoco fuel in the car as well, and then work on that driver's side window for Thad Moffitt to see if they can get that up. Now, none of the hardware broke, and that maybe it just came loose, but they've got 3 crew members working to ensure that that is in place. That is with these window nets is they're designed to click in, so they don't just as long as we stay under green while the rest of the field cycles back along so they don't lose a lap. But the last thing that this 46 team wants right now is a caution before the rest of the field comes to pit road.
Absolutely, Joe. As you were saying that Moffitt went out on track and the leaders did go by. So Moffitt in the 46 machine is 1 lap down. But as you mentioned, as long as we stay green, the rest of the field will have to come down pit lane for their pit stop. So this is not the end of the day for Thad Moffitt. This is not the end of his coach. Going to Gatorade Victory Lane here at the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire. They have a pit strategy, kind of forced it. They're going to roll with it. We have the top 3. They are up into.
It's interesting how sometimes those strategies end up working to your favor, but this is pins and needle time for that entire Thad Moffitt, number 46, the Empire Racing, to see exactly how this is going to play out. But we talk about those break away a little bit, things starting to calm down a little bit deeper in the field. Remember, getting a car slowed down at super speedway speeds onto this pit road here in Daytona is tricky. Earlier in the day today, during Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series practice for the Daytona 500, it was Daniel Suarez who got on the brakes and went spinning to the entrance of pit lane. Now, he's an Xfinity Series champion and certainly is one of the shining stars in NASCAR. It's not an easy pit road to get onto here, Dean, when he got to see
Easy pit road and more challenging when you're 18 years old. You've got 8 previous ARCA starts, and this is your first time at Daytona. That's the racing resume for Thad Moffitt. He did a great job getting the 6 machines down pit lane. Got through there. The racing crew got that window net repaired as we go along with the Gus Dean Racing number 32 up on our ISM Vision screens. Gus Dean, who was up at the front of this field here early on, actually continues to lead early on here as I shouldn't say early on anymore. We're coming up on halfway.
Well, Gus Dean, I'll tell you what, that car is pretty quick because he started today's race back in the 16th position, was very aggressive. His way up to the front. Control the energy of his team. He's doing that now out in front, now leading a 3-car draft through some of the lapped automobiles up there in turn 2. Harrison Burton, the son of former NASCAR driver and NBC Sports analyst Jeff Burton, 18-year-old Christian Eckes, who continues to ride inside the top 3.
If you could hear me put
Let's take it back outside of the top 5. Of course, we have Gus Dean leading, then Harrison Burton, then Christian Eckes, Riley Herbst, and the 55 of Lonnie Munter. 6th through 10th, it is the number 22 machine. And let's give a call to the driver of the 22. Connor Hall started 10th. Was a late entry, I should say. So having a great run, currently showing P6, and 54 machine is 7th. 8th place is the number 23 of Brad Holmes. 9th place is the number 27 of Travis Braden. And rounding out the top 10,
I've been going
0-2.
Driving started at the tail end of the field today, or at least mid-pack, is at 5, 8-time Daytona champion. That's Bobby Gerhardt. He's been pretty quiet so far today. He's raced himself inside the top 12. And don't count out that Davey Allison inspired paint scheme for Brandon McReynolds in that number 28 machine. Started the race today in 11th, has fallen back a little bit, but in qualifying here yesterday, he used a pretty crafty tactic to try to pick up some speed, and ultimately Christian Eckes basically said McReynolds can try that trick getting a draft on some of the teams that he was running in his group qualifying session. Christian Eckes ended up stealing the pole position away. But Brandon McReynolds is a very quick race car and has not quite shown it yet. It was just, what, 5-6 years ago, Dean, that he was in position coming near the checker before his fuel cell ran dry and he ran out of fuel coming to the checkers.
He did that coming off of corner number 4. He started the field. Bobby Gerhardt drove to victory. That was 2012. That was Gerhardt's last victory right now. The number 28 machine that we speak of, Brandon McReynolds, shown in the 10th position. So a great run indeed, as we have 33 laps in the books. Coming up on the
that 3-car draft just became 8 cars. Riley Herbst trying to put the moves on. He looks to the outside. Leilani Hunter tries to fill the gap for bottom lane, but Riley Herbst slams into a shut off turn number 2, and they stack them up now, single file down the super stretch in Daytona.
That is a classic draft. What it can do here at Daytona, and how quickly your fortunes can change. It was a 3-car breakaway. Gus Dean, Harrison Burton, and they seem to have the racing world by the tail.
Yeah, I hope
how quickly it changes. Here comes Leilani Munter, Riley Herbst, and a slew of others up at the front.
Yeah,
well, Leilani Munter was tired of following around. Riley Herbst saw her teammate directly. That's exactly what she did. Finish up O'Reilly Herbst out of line. He falls back into the tail end of the lead draft, right behind the 23 of Brett Holmes.
And don't look now, but here comes Brandon McReynolds.
Yeah.
Machine of Todd Gilliland.
They
have hooked up together. They are currently showing, but they are hooked up together on the line. And don't be surprised if we see Reynolds and Quinlan up with that lead back here in short order.
And we saw how quickly this 3-car lead draft, 8-car lead draft, and as you mentioned, Brandon McReynolds on the move to try to add to that number. They circulate back around through the 18-degree banking here, the trial vote through the front straightaway here at Daytona. Won the health movie number 35 in her final race, Ronnie Mutter.
And another wild card that we have coming up here momentarily, Joe, is pit stops. We saw the pit window during our pre-race analysis on that 30 to 35 lap run. We did have some caution laps.
I'm not noticing.
Coming up on that pit window, and these drivers are going to have to decide when they're going to come down pit lane, who they're going to come down pit lane with. And Joe, as you mentioned, they're going to have to get off of the banking, down pit lane, do so safely, abide the speed limit. For some of them, it may be the first time doing it.
Yeah, certainly so. 13 drivers in the field today here making their Daytona debut, and it is tricky. They get practicing they have here screen. Nobody's really content with riding along. Ronnie Mutter, one of the cars, dabbing and weaving, darting on the line, seeing if you can find a little extra speed and maybe see if there's an opportunity to get inside the top 3. Everybody else, so from her on back, intend to be content as they continue to run those excellent temporary tires.
Number 30 machine of Grant Quinlan, the Maidstone, Ontario, Canada driver, 20 years old. He has tucked up behind Todd Gilliland. It is now McReynolds, Gilliland, and the 30 machine of Grant Quinlan. The trio will try to pull up on the finish line right now.
Quinlan was a car that went out yesterday in final practice.
I guess like 170 people like ARCA.
Trying to preserve his car for today's Lucas Oil 200.
I don't know how I went from like
General Tire. So we weren't quite sure what that car would do in the draft. He's had a pretty quiet race so far. But as we've seen here in Daytona, in the second half of the race, we are only less than 2 laps away from the halfway marker with 41 circuits remaining when the field works their way back off to the and through the trioval.
A beautiful sight indeed as they do come down off of turn number 4 to put lap number 39 in the books. Gus Dean leads the single. Straight train down on that the trio that is trying to suck up 2 leaders, but they are approaching the halfway. In fact, when they cross the stripe this time, it will mark the halfway lap here in this 80-lap affair.
What a day so far for Connor Hall and that Chad Bryant Racing number 22 machine. That's a team that won the championship back in 2016 team. It was purchased at the end of last season, or actually it was only about a month ago in January from the Cunningham Motorsports team, and much of the team is still together, so it is top-notch equipment. Connor Hall, the late model driver from Virginia, is giving that number 22 a ride solidly here at the halfway point, riding inside the top 5.
And we have NASCAR champion Daytona, Paul Andrews, shots for that Chad Bryant Racing number 22. Tested here in January. The ARCA Menard Series had a 2-day test in January. And tested with a different team. He impressed so much that last week, Chad Bryant Racing got out to 22. Great run. Currently shown in the 5th position, the 21-year-old driver. Andrews calling the shots on that 22 machine.
For the first time in several laps, this team allowed his number 32, the race-leading machine, to just walk up the racetrack ever so slightly until down to the bottom of the racetrack. His car all the way to the inside lane. as Dean's car starts a little bit. There's a look at that 23 car. Brett Holmes, a brand new
I made stream
machine,
up on
the family operation single car team running inside that group as well.
There was a record.
Estimating Southern States Bank Chevrolet number 23, Mumford, Alabama, the hometown. Holmes, 21-year-old driver.
I don't know who that is.
Crashes one driver, the other out. It is the number 2 machine of Eric Caudell. Off of turn number 4, we see up on our ISM screens, point and damage on Eric Caudell's number 2, as we were just about ready to have some green flag pit stops. And Eric Caudell, let's see how it happens. He did some heavy contact with point and damage. Caudell's number 2 machine, Oklahoma driver. And here we have on our ISM vision screens, hard into the inside safer barrier, exiting corner number 4.
That's tough.
And we go caution for the second time here this afternoon in the Lucas Oil 200. Driver is out of the car. That is good to see. Walks to the attention of the safety crew. Will make a stop down in the infield care center. And then we'll see Eric Caudell out of that machine after heavy contact with the inside safer barrier. Again, bringing out our second caution of the afternoon. Comes your way on lap 41. John Ferrier in the number 44 machine. He brings that car down pit lane. They're going to pop the hood on the 44.
Yeah, ARCA brake.
Farrier, one of the 3 cars that make up Empire Racing, the 43, the 44, and the 46 numbered machines. Leaders are up in turn number 4.
If my battery dies, I'm going to go.
Your leader is Gus Dean. He has led it from lap number 16. Again, we have had 3 leaders here this afternoon in the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire. Glad to have you with us here at Daytona International Speedway. And pit lane is open. And Joe, we have got a lot of takers here down pit lane.
Certainly the perfect opportunity for some of the teams that had not had that experience about getting off the banking and slowing down to this pit road speed. Under caution makes it a little bit easier. It'll be an adjustment, a chassis adjustment for the 54 car of Natalie Decker. They'll also go ahead and fuel inside her car and take a window tear off. Same situation for 32. No chassis adjustment for the race leader. Gus Dean, just fuel only, and look at that front valence. One of the only cars on the turn 1 of the pit road that makes his way down pit lane. Bobby Gearhart will change right side tires with fuel. Same for Travis Braden. A quick stop for Harrison Burton. Fuel only for Bobby Gearhart. And of course the 15 car, Krishnek is on and off pit road as well.
Todd Gilliland in the number 4 machine and Harrison Burton in the 20 with some great stops. Gilliland was pitted towards the turn 4 end of pit lane. He had a head of steam when he was coming by Harrison Burton's number 20 and hit the Harrison Burton machine at the end of pit lane. But this is our first pit lane action, serious pit lane action, as scheduled pit stops just past the halfway mark here in this 80-lap event.
Most of the teams on the turn 1 end of pit road taking right side General Tires. Very little adjustments on this end of pit lane. The only cars we saw make any type of chassis adjustment was the 54 car for Natalie Decker, pitted on the turn 4 end of pit lane. One of the cars that lost a ton of ground on pit road was a 55 of Leilani Munter, was inside the top 5 and came out well outside the top 10.
So I have to keep an eye on that. Leilani Munter was 4th going into that round of pit stops. When we cycle back around here at the start-finish line, we'll set the running order for you. Again, there are 43 laps complete. 80 make up the Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire, and we certainly want to give a tip of the cap to our friends at Lucas Oil who have signed an extension, a multi-year extension. For since 2009, they have been the title sponsor here at the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire for the ARCA Menard Series, and it was just announced yesterday that they're coming back for several more years. So thank you so much to our friends from Lucas Oil, and somebody else who is coming back It is your defending race winner, Michael Self, rolls that number 25 machine out of the garage area, and he will rejoin the chase several laps down. Michael Self involved in the first caution of the afternoon. It came out on lap number 3. Went through the grass, spinning through the backstretch grass, and had some heavy front and body damage. Crew took the Venturini Motorsports crew took it back to the garage area, and
Timmy Hill is not in this race, unfortunately.
Back underway. Todd Gilliland with another trip down pit lane, and the number 29 machine we see up on our ISM Vision screens, Derek Lancaster.
On pit road, as well as the crew surveys that car. His car pointed in at about a 45-degree angle. Now the crew trying to push that car in reverse in the wrong direction down pit lane, waiting for some of the traffic to clear. Now finally able to get that car pointed back in the right direction and continue down towards the turn 1 end of the racetrack. I went down and I followed up with the Leilani Munzer Venturini Motorsports team, and I asked them why they were a little bit slow in that round of pit stops, and they said we wanted to make sure that we got that car full of Sunoco Racing gasoline. We don't want to have a problem, Dean. And how many times have we talked here in Daytona how fuel in this ARCA Racing Series event tends to become a major factor? Races have been decided on that, and this team wanted that extra insurance policy, and they were willing to lose a couple of spots on pit road to make sure they had it packed full of fuel.
And we drive along with Leilani Munzer. They're up on our ISM Vision screens. We are past the halfway mark. Let's focus our attention on those ISM Vision screens for a race recap. Christian Eckes was our pole sitter. Led him down to the green, led the first handful of laps, and there you see the reason why we are under caution, or were under caution for the first time. It came out on lap number 3, and there was the damage on Michael Self's number 25 machine. Joe Graff Jr. also with problems. Couple of trips, unscheduled trips down pit lane, had some overheating issues, had some radio issues, so tough go of it for the 77. And there, one of our top contenders, he started from the outside of row number 1, Thad Moffitt, had to make an unscheduled pit stop under green when the window net came down. We repaired that, and there is the reason for the most recent caution. That is Eric Caudell. He brought it out on lap number 41. Just our second caution of this event when he got sideways off of turn number 4, made some heavy contact with the inside safer barrier. Good to see that Eric Caudell was able to walk under his own power to the ambulance and take a ride back to the infield care center. But right now we have 45 laps scored complete, and after that round of pit stops, Harrison Burton will be scored your leader.
Burton, who has been coming up through NASCAR's Developmental Series 1, 2017's K&N East Series Championship. That's a series that runs primarily on NASCAR home tracks, short tracks throughout the country. But today, it is his Daytona debut. Of course, he will be running full-time in the Gator Outdoor Truck Series throughout 2019. He was one of the drivers that is running this ARCA Menard Series event to get certified and qualified to be able to run in Friday night Next Era Energy Resources 250 here in Daytona. So not only was this an important race for him to be able to go out and win, but he was also trying to get that qualification to be able to race on Friday. And I'd say so far, Dean, that it appears as though he's accomplished that goal. Now it's whether or not in the final 35 laps he can keep that car out in front and hang on and claim victory here in Daytona.
So far, so good, right? New team for Harrison Burton that he is driving for in 2019. Plans are for him to run 5 of these ARCA Menard races in 2019. He's with Venturini Motorsports here this year, and as we said, planning on running 5 races. But not only is it his debut here at Daytona, it's his debut with Venturini Motorsports, and right up at the front of the pack, leading the field here as we have 45 laps in the books.
Meanwhile, the driver that won the pole position earlier in the weekend, that car number 15, 17 years old, just like Harrison Burton. He's already won 3 times in ARCA competition back in 2018. So you've got 2 of the Venturini Motorsports Toyotas lining up on the front row. Toyota fielded from Jurgens Racing. The 18, Riley Herbst, is there to the inside of the racetrack. Another driver trying to make his name for himself in this sport. Coming out of the Las Vegas area, following in the footsteps of Kyle Busch, will drive some truck races for Kyle Busch throughout the season. And the independent team, Brett Holmes, making up row number 2 to the outside in car 23.
So the top 5, get this if you will. 18 years of age, Harrison Burton. Christian Eckes, 18 years of age. Riley Herbst, 19 years of age. And the old, and I use air quotes there, the old veterans of the top 5, the number 23 machine driver, he's 21. And Connor Hall in P5, he's 21 as well.
Well, if it makes Brett feel any better, at least he's a college student again. We're enrolled at Auburn University to study building science, so maybe that'll make him feel a little bit younger today.
Maybe, yes indeed. The Chevrolet pace car leads the field up there in turn number 3. It has doubled up. Lights are out in the pace car. We are going green next time by. When they take the green flag, it will be lap number 47. Harrison Burton takes the outside lane as the race leader. It is the leader's prerogative as we have 34 laps to go, 33 when we hit the green flag, but Harrison Burton takes the outside lane. That'll put Christian Eckes on the inside of row number 1, right where he started this event, the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire. Pace car off of corner number 4, down below the yellow line, down pit lane, looking for the green flag, and we are back to racing.
Back up through the gears, the advantage on the start, at least initially. Herbst is tucked right up to the back bumper of Christian Eckes, trying to propel that inside lane forward into turn 1.
And he is unable to do so. It looks like it's going to be Harrison Burton. Your leader gets the outside lane going, and as soon as he clears Eckes, he puts that number 20 machine right down on the bottom yellow line.
Harrison Burton out in front at Daytona. The outside line, now the challenger belongs to Brett Holmes. Looks in the rearview mirror. He's got Natalie Decker now to the back bumper, and Brandon McReynolds, third car in line, and that Davey Allison number 28 paint scheme to the high groove.
Harrison Burton on the inside.
That's good.
Leads him down. We'll put lap number 48 in the books. The youngster, as we said, 18 years old. And then they're side by side from third on back.
Wheel to wheel for the third spot. Herbst in the 18 at bottom. Holmes up high. Natalie Decker is there. Bottom lane belongs to Connor Hall as he runs side by side for the fourth spot. Here comes Holmes going way up the racetrack off turn number 2. Has to pull it back into the middle of the groove as they race 2 by 2 from third on back.
It is a great battle up the back straightaway down into turn number 3. The outside lane gets a big push. Outside lane, a big push. They will try to catch the leaders. They have caught the... Oh, we got one sideways. Connor Hall off of turn number 4, sideways, and we go caution for the third time this afternoon, and there is damage on the number 61. Third time this afternoon, also damage on Derek Lancaster, number 9 machine, so 3 cars, at least 3 cars. We also see damage on the number 35 machine coming across the start finish line, so trouble there as we go caution. Once again here on lap number 49, and in fact it's actually the 36 machine of Paul Williamson. Paul Williamson with heavy right side damage, right front damage. Williamson will bring his machine to a rest just past the start finish line.
Connor Hall has brought that number 22 Chad Bryant racing machine on pit lane. It was a flat right rear tire for him. Crew going to work there on the right side. Also damage on the right front as well. So they'll try to pull some of the sheet metal away and make sure that that is clear when he goes back out onto the racetrack. They'll do service to the left side, putting some General tires on there as well. But you got to hand it to the driver who's got late model experience on short tracks in Virginia, making a Kyle Busch-like save here in Daytona.
Oh, we get a replay of it there up on ISM Vision. He did an absolutely amazing job at speed, middle of the pack, off of corner number 4. Has that tire go down on the 22 machine, saves it, keeps it off the inside and outside wall, and brings it down pit lane. A masterful job there by Connor Hall.
Just a few years ago, how many times have you seen Kyle Busch do this at Daytona back in the Advanced Auto Parts class when it was run at night? Busch did a very similar move coming off turn number 2. You see the sparks flying when the tire went down, and as everybody tried to avoid 3 cars getting involved, J.J. Pack suffering the worst of the damage as his car went right front first into the outside safer barrier at the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, a tough break indeed for J.J. Pack, as well as the 36 of Paul Williamson. Really were just innocent victims there in that incident, but a masterful job by Connor Hall as we drive along here on our ISM Vision screens. And yes, the field got bunched up, as you would expect when there's a car in the middle of the field going sideways and emitting a shower of sparks you would expect for the field behind it to get. But nonetheless, a tough break for the number 36 or 61, J.J. Pack. A couple of drivers that were just innocent victims there. Meanwhile, up front, as we have 50 laps scored complete, remember 80 is the distance.
Yeah,
our race leader continues to be the number 20 of Harrison Burton, making his first Daytona start. As Joe mentioned, the 2017 NASCAR K&N Pro Series East champion. It's a Venturini Motorsports, Toyota, Dex Imaging, Fields, Morton Building, Ream sponsored machine. Mike Hillman Jr. calling the shot for that 18-year-old Harrison Burton. There we have up on ISM Vision. The number 29, Derek Lancaster, is down pit lane. You see the right side damage on that machine. 4 career ARCA starts, 3 here at Daytona. Finished 13th back in 2014.
I don't know what
short
that
track
is.
racer. Had a great test here in January. Was 7th on the combined speed charts for that 2-day test back in January.
Because I don't know what that is.
Series. And certainly still time for Derek Lancaster to salvage a great finish here this afternoon, but some heavy right side damage.
Thanks.
That 29 machine
right
just past the start finish line on pit lane, right in front of my vantage point, and the crew continues to work on the bad body damage of that number 29.
Yeah, you're not the only one waiting for that.
J.J. Pack also got pit lane for the number 61, damage on the front and rear end of that machine. And once again, Todd Gilliland, the Sherrills Ford, North Carolina driver, Todd Gilliland, with another trip down pit lane. So Todd Gilliland, who started this race in the 18th position and was off and on running up at the front, a couple of unscheduled pit stops for that team.
Well, Dean, glad to Chief. I'd like to interview here with you, Harrison Burton. And you've got a lot of experience when it comes to racing in this style. What do you think of this kid in the 20 car today?
Harrison's done a heck of a job, and everybody at Venturini Motorsports did a great job building a really fast speedway car. And this Dex Imaging Toyota is really, really good. So we just got to hang on here and we'll see how it shakes out at the end.
Keeping an eye on the lineup here. How important is it that you and Eckes can work together here as we run towards the finish?
You know, they got to work together today, and they got to work together next Friday in the truck. So I'm sure we will.
They're keeping an eye on that lineup. Curious to see how the ARCA Menards officials will go ahead and stack things up. They want to see if they can get Eckes out the back bumper to help him propel that team forward. Of course, both teams, or both cars running out of the Venturini Motorsports camp, they want to try to use that to the advantage to see if they can get back to Daytona victory lane.
Teammates, we'll see if they can work together. We look at the ride along on the inside of the 55 machine of Leilani Munter, but up on ISM Vision, we're going to have a replay here of our third caution event of the afternoon here in the Lucas Oil 200. It all happened up in turn number 4. There we are in 3. We're focusing on Connor Hall's number 22 machine, and you see the back end step out on that machine. He does a masterful job of saving it. We came to learn afterwards that he had a tire going down, but he went around, did a 180, did a great job to keep that machine off of the inside and outside wall. And it was behind him, though, where the 29 and the 61 developed some problems checking up. The cars behind, as we see the 61 there outside of the outside safer barrier, I should say, as they were 3 wide stacked up behind the spinning machine, and it looks like it was Lancaster and Pack that made contact together as they tried to get around the spinning number 22 of Connor Hall. 52 laps scored complete. 80 make up the scheduled distance. Again, here in the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire.
Indeed, I made my way down to the number 1 pit stall where Kevin Reed is calling the shots for Chris and Eckes. You've had a strong car all week here in Daytona. Are you in the position that you want to be out on the racetrack trailing your teammate there as we approach the finish today?
I couldn't have dreamed of a better position. Cautions fell exactly.
Lights have come out on that beautiful Chevrolet Pace vehicle, meaning we are going green next time by up on our ISM Vision screens. Those are a couple of drivers we have talked about here today. Dave Major, the third in the number 63 machine. To his right elbow, that is Todd Gilliland. Right now, the 63 and the 4 are shown in the 18th and 19th positions. We have 22 drivers on the lead lap.
Okay, I guess it's
in the 22nd position is the number 22 machine of Connor Hall. Connor Hall, the last driver on the lead lap, as when we see the green flag, it'll be lap number 54.
Why did I go from like 300 to like 100?
Coming down here, the closing stages of our Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire, the opening event of our Daytona Speed Weeks, presented by Advent Health 2019, the opening event of the 2019 ARCA Menards season. And who could ask for anything more? It has been an absolutely phenomenal race to this point. We've had a great day of practice and for Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series drivers, and now we are in the closing stages of our opening race here, 2019 Speed Weeks. Green flag is in the air, and we are back underway.
Outside lane, Harrison Burton. Caution works out because he's able to drop to the inside and have his teammate in tow behind him. And leading the charge in the outside lane, the DGR Crosley machine, driven by Natalie Decker.
And there you go, up on ISM Vision, you get a good look at it. Harrison Burton to the inside. As soon as he cleared Christian Eckes, he puts it right down on the yellow lines, and his teammate, Christian Eckes, will line up behind Harrison Burton as the front 4 now go single file.
Brandon McReynolds starting to make an appearance just outside the top 5. That Davey Allison-inspired paint scheme. Davey Allison was his godfather. There's a family connection for Brandon McReynolds, son of Fox commentator Larry McReynolds. He's right to the right.
Fingers crossed it lasts a little bit. I hope no wrecks until like the last lap.
And there you have it up on our ISM Vision screens. You can see him up the back straightaway. Harrison Burton leads the front 4. They go single file. And then we see the number 43 machine up front in the top 5 for the first time today. Sean Core. Sean Core in the number 43, a driver who has started from the pole here in the past at Daytona, having a great run. One of those Empire Racing team cars, number 43.
Outside lane, got a big push that time. Natalie Decker, but they lost momentum when they came through the trial. Well, that time, that allowed now 5 cars to break through. Sean Core holding on to the fifth spot, but they're back at it again off turn number 2. Brandon McReynolds right to the back bumper of Natalie Decker as they cruise down the super stretch.
Brandon McReynolds gives Natalie Decker a nudge straight away, trying to get the outside lane going. They do get it going just a little bit. Natalie, now Brandon McReynolds will make it 3 wide up in turn number 3.
Natalie Decker threatening to lose a draft on the middle groove of the racetrack as nobody pulls on a line to go with her. It's Brandon McReynolds around the outside lane. Coming right along with it is Travis Brady to the 27.
Natalie Decker forces her on the outside. She was stuck in the middle with no help whatsoever. She takes that DGR Crosley number 54 and puts it back on the bottom, forces the issue. She needs to get back in line. There's 23 to go. Chips are down. It is time to go. Natalie Decker back down on the bottom of the number 54 machine as we see Brandon McReynolds, another driver, forcing the issue. He went 3 wide last time by.
Yeah, calculated but aggressive by Natalie Decker here. To the inside line, squeaking just behind Bobby Gerhardt. The problem is everybody else went to the outside lane, leaving those two strong contenders rather. He will now go 3 wide to the outside as a
ratcheting up here as we have 22 laps to go. They're 3 wide. You know, it had been close and very polite for the first about 3/4 of this race. Now it is go time, and go they are doing. This is all happening behind our race leader, Harrison Burton.
It's still a long way to go here in Daytona, still 22 laps away. That's 25% of the race. There's still a lot to go here in the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire. Some of the best racing just at the bottom half of the top 10. Todd Gilliland, who has been quiet all the time, starting to make his noise, and he is pushing towards the front of the pack in side-by-side racing.
Side-by-side racing happens from position 5, 6 or so on back. They are off of turn number 2 in the side-by-side group. Gets a great run up the back straightaway. Brandon McReynolds gets a great push. They will go by the number 43 Sean Core machine. It is the top 4 up front. It's now a 3-car breakaway off of turn number 4. Harrison Burton leads Christian Eckes, his teammate, and then comes the number 23 machine of Brett Holmes.
But on the front of that Harrison Burton machine, offsets on the right front of the nose of the Harrison Burton. Normally, if you're mid-pack, you can drive up to somebody's bumper. The aerodynamics allow that to feel off, but if you lift this on the front straightaway next time through, the front of that 20 of Harrison Burton has debris right over where all of the air would get into that radiator to keep that engine cool.
Last time by Riley Herbst in P4. The 18 machine, the Monster Energy sponsored Toyota, threw a block on Brandon McReynolds. McReynolds had the outside lane coming, and Riley Herbst got word of that. He quickly went up to the outside, and now he leads the outside lane, does the number 18 of Riley Herbst.
Cars as he runs that black number 32 to the inside lane, and they are starting to gain ground on the top 3, just like we saw directly before that mid-race pit stop. 4th place machine. We run a lot of laps in the early stages with Sean Core and Richard Petty blue colors. That 43 from Empire Racing riding in 5th.
And Sean Core will go to the outside. He will duck out from behind the 32 machine. Sliding in front of Riley Herbst. Sean Core takes that 43 to the outside and tries to bring Riley Herbst, Brandon McReynolds, and the rest of the outside lane with him.
Back into the picture as well, was all the way back to 15th after that pit stop to make sure she got a full tank of fuel. Leilani Munter has Natalie. She's tracking along with Grant Quinlan as the 2 female drivers working together on the inside lane.
Get a little sideways there as Natalie Decker gives Leilani Munter a push going down the front straightaway and into 1. The first 3 make it the first mile down on the bottom. They're just on a Saturday afternoon drive. Behind them, they are 2 wide, they are stacked up, they are clawing, they are shoving, they are clawing, they are working to get their way to the front. It's intense.
And Gus Steve's got more motor than anybody else in the field today. Bob himself was able to close up and win that top 3 lead draft. He showed early how strong he is. Now that he's there, what can he do with it? All eyes on Harrison Burton and that debris on the front of car number 20. Does that become a factor on the front?
Look at it on our ISM Vision screens, the debris that Joe speaks of on the front of that number 20 Harrison Burton machine. Now that 4-car breakaway is about a 7-car breakaway as Leilani and others have joined the front 4.
7 cars out in front. Brandon McReynolds about 10 car lengths off that lead track. Help from Riley Herbst. Sean Core is now starting to backpedal a little bit. He's up in the outside lane in turns 3 and 4, battling with that Riley Herbst machine. While they do that, Brandon McReynolds has been able to get away. He starts to close in on the lead draft.
Here they come across the start-finish line. They will put lap number 64 in the book. They are headed up into corner number 1. 16 laps remaining. It's about 200 driven by General Tire.
Reynolds still distant from that lead draft, has not been able to close in any further. They race side by side on board with Riley Herbst. Sean Core, outside lane, blue 3, black 18, inside lane is Riley Herbst.
Is there anything that feels more right than a blue 43 at Daytona? Running inside the top 10. There you get a look at him up on our ISM Vision screens. Sean Core brings the outside lane as they try to reel in the top 7.
Outside closer with Thad Moffitt in the middle of that draft as well. He's stuck in the inside lane. Quinlan that came down under green flag conditions has been able to recover from that to be in that second group.
He not only he lost a lap when he had to make that unscheduled pit stop just before lap 25 and put him a lap down. Used some strategy, was able to get back on the lead lap, and Thad Moffitt is now showing in the 15th position again on the lead lap, and certainly is still a contender here as we get ready to shoot out for the last 15 circuits here in the Lucas Oil 200.
Among the top 8 cars for now, everybody biding their time, clicking off the laps here in the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire. The action continues to be the bottom half of the top 10. Sean Core back in that mix is Tyler Dipple, Thad Moffitt, Cody Robaugh in that mix as well, all running on the top 10. On the racetrack, Travis Braden. He's got Andy Seiss and Bobby Gearhart in tow.
We had a 2-hour practice session here for the ARCA Menard Series on Thursday. The driver who was atop the speed charts at the end of that 2-hour session, right there, the 28, Brandon McReynolds. He's got a fast horse, and he is trying to claw his way back up to the front. Brandon McReynolds currently shown in the 8th position with that Davey Allison tribute number 28 paint scheme in the closing stages here, working his way back up towards the front.
So he is now trying to get hooked up with Sean Core. Travis Braden, he's got drafting help. Clear Riley Herbst. Will he jump down to the inside lane and make it a single car draft on the bottom?
Travis Braden has been very quiet here today in the number 27 machine. The Matrix Care Consonas Healthcare Liberty Village Ford for Don Fike. Travis Braden currently shown in the 10th position. 2 previous Daytona starts, a pair of 27 finishes. So currently inside the top 10 is Travis Braden. He too trying to track down that lead pack that consists of 7 machines single file on the inside.
Experienced among those drivers inside the top 30. We documented earlier the young talent that leads this field here. We got a little bit further. We got a driver from Canada in Grant Quinlan in the 30 car. He rides in 5th along with Leilani Mutter. Again, the well-documented final race of her outstanding career, and Natalie Decker all inside that lead track.
You talk about the young drivers, Joe, and you mentioned Grant Quinlan in the 30 machine. Well, he's just 20. So he's fitting that mold of young drivers running up at the front here at Daytona. As we close in, it'll be 11 laps to go when they cross the stripe this time by. That debris still on the front nose grill. Harrison has a Gatorade victory lane here at Daytona. They did so in the drivers back in 2000. So the Burtons know how to get the high banks of Daytona.
He's certainly showing what he's made of here today, getting ready for that full-time campaign in the Gander Outdoor Truck Series. What about Christian Ekiso? He started at the front. He's been toward the front all day long. Has not had to do a tremendous amount of passing. We'll be curious to see what the 3-time ARCA winner has up his sleeves as we approach 10 laps to go in this Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire, and whether or not he has the strength in that pole-winning car to find a way around his teammate, Harrison Burton.
It's interesting to note, Joe, the first 2 drivers in line here, Harrison Burton. So they are making the most of their first opportunity, and how it will play out, I don't know that either one of them has a strong experience put that strategy into play. But if you're going to make a first start at Daytona, to run inside the top 2 is certainly the way you want to start your Daytona career.
And the car to keep your eye on might be the one that's 4th in line. That is Gus Dean. Remember, we saw him to the outside in the first half of this race take the lead with a little bit of drafting help, but he didn't have Grant Quinlan behind him then. It'll be curious to see what Quinlan does in this draft and whether or not that's the right combination for Gus Dean and his setup to push forward. Meanwhile, we have trouble off turn number 4. The car goes spinning down the inside in turn number 4, and the caution flag is back out here inside of 10 laps to go.
It is our 4th caution flag of the afternoon. You see there Thad Moffitt up on our ISM Vision screens. In turn number 4, here we will our outside front row starter. Thad Moffitt had a great run into our ISM Vision screens. And here we will have a replay that is Moffitt in the 46 machine and just gets a little sideways, has that back end step out on the 46 machine right in front of Bobby Gerhardt. And then the 11 makes contact with Jason White, the Canadian driver, makes contact with the outside safer barrier, as does Thad Moffitt in the number 46 machine. So those 2 drivers bring out our 4th caution of the afternoon here in the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire.
Well, we've caught up with Jamie Jones, Dean, who is a crew chief for Gus Dean. And Jamie, early in this race, we saw the strength out of this team to be able to take the lead around the outside. You're 4th in line when we go back under the green flag. Do you have that strength in the late going?
I think it's still there. The guys did a great job all year. You just got to have a partner to do it and go with you. I know they're really pick up right here.
So that's Jamie Jones. He's a crew chief for the 32 car of Gus Dean. They prepared an outstanding machine, the Wintron Racing team, to be able to bring that car and compete with some of the large multi-car teams here at this racetrack. He is in position now. We'll restart to the outside of row 2 when we get back under the green flag.
That Wintron Racing team is a single car effort. The CAB installers, big company Chevrolet number 32 of Gus Dean. His crew chief there, Jamie Jones, says business is about to pick up. I kind of thought business picked up on that last restart, so if he thinks business is really going to get busy, we are in for a show indeed here in this most recent restart. Again, 4 cautions here in the first 71 laps in the Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire. We have had several lead changes. We have had, it looks like 3 leaders. Christian Eckes, our pole sitter, led the first 9 circuits. Harrison Burton has led on occasion. And then the driver of the crew chief that you just heard from, Gus Dean, has led on 2 occasions here in the first 72 laps. Glad to have you with us here at Daytona International Speedway. Our Speed Weeks presented by Advent Health version 2019. This is kicking it off with our first race of Speed Weeks 2019. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for choosing to spend part of your race weekend here at the World Center of Racing.
Well, Shane Huffman is calling the shot for Brett Holmes, who rides 3rd out in the racetrack. Shane, you're in there with some of the big boys here in this family-run operation. Brand new race car. It seems as though it's performing to perfection. How does it look from your point of view?
Yeah, it's going good. Brand's doing a great job. Derek needed up on the spotter stand. Basically, it's up to them 2 now. You know, we're just kind of sitting down here watching the race as fans. The guys have prepared a fast race car. Everybody done their job. Pit crew done a great job getting on the soft pit road there, and got some track positions. So we'll just see how it plays out here.
I know you got a lot of teammates, and I know you can't tip your hand, but if you had it play out, who do you want behind you here when we get back under the green flag?
Well, it's kind of pot luck, honestly. You know, obviously the 2 Venturini cars are going to work together, and you know, we'll just have to see how it goes. I just don't know.
And he will try to break that up. Will Brett Holmes is Shane Huffman calling the shots for him, trying to see if he can move from that 3rd spot to get a spot in the top. We've seen crazy things happen before at Daytona, Dean. That last lap, you never know what could happen.
Our Joe Koss under this caution doing a great job catching up with the crew chiefs. A couple of crew chiefs there that are chiefing solo car small efforts as we look at the number 18 of Riley Herbst on pit lane. has that Monster Energy Orca Coolers Toyota number 18 on pit lane with the hood up. So a tough break for Riley Herbst, who has been running up near the front of the field all day long. Riley Herbst on the lead lap, just outside the top 15 right now as they run. And the hood up on that Monster Energy Toyota, so we'll have to see if we can get a development there or a story on what is happening on the Riley Herbst number 18. Again, 73 laps are in the books, 80 make up the Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire.
They may turn the lights off.
This caution was brought out on lap number 71 when Thad Moffat went around up in turn number 4. Jason White, the Sun Peaks, British Columbia, Canada driver, that number 11, had to get up into the outside safer barrier to avoid the spinning 46 machine. Jason White making his ARCA and his Daytona debut, a veteran of 94 starts on the NASCAR Pinty Series in Canada. So Jason White with the number 11 machine, now currently shown in the 21st position, able to keep running in that number 11 as we remain under caution.
I know.
Dean just made my way down to the Riley Herbst team, and they said that they had to reattach the throttle mount on that number 18 that came loose here in the last lap or so, and so that was certainly cause for concern. So they had to bring that Joe Gibbs number 18 down pit lane for service, forfeiting a top 5 run.
What if they do it after the finish?
Tough break for Riley Herbst, a youngster, 19 years old from Las Vegas, Nevada. We mentioned it, and as Joe did, he was in the top 5. He was in a top 5 position at a time when we had an 18-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, and 2 21-year-olds inside the top 5. Riley Herbst, the 19-year-old, a former ARCA Series Rookie of the Year. That came in 2017. Finished 10th in this event 1 year ago, did Riley Herbst. So we will see if the driver from Las Vegas can make his way back up to the front in short order. If he's going to do it, he's going to have to do it in short order, as again, 80 laps are the scheduled distance here for the Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire. And Riley Herbst actually maintains his position on pit lane there. The hood continues to be up, so again, a tough break there on the 18 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota for Riley Herbst.
He's shut the car off now on pit lane as they have put the hood back down, waiting to fire the car back up again, which he has done, and took a look at that throttle mount one more time just to make sure that it was secured properly. And now Riley Herbst will make his way back out onto the racetrack. But you are right, Dean, a very disappointing ending to such a strong run for Riley, and this Daytona appearance here this year was in contention to go for the victory.
If they don't,
At the line, the field gets the 1 to go signal. Double up. Lights out on the base vehicle, and as we have seen the last 2 restarts, our race leader, Harrison Burton, elects to go from the outside of row number 1. That will put second running Christian Eckes on the inside. When we take the green flag, there will be 4 laps remaining here in the Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire. Just an absolutely fabulous race. I hope you're enjoying yourself at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, as we kick off our 2019 Daytona Speed Weeks presented by Advent Health. Glad to have you with us. Love to have you back here tomorrow. It will be qualifying for the Daytona 500 as well as the Advanced Auto Parts Clash.
Sprinkling, so
20
I don't know what's
drivers,
going to happen.
NASCAR Cup Series drivers, kind of a double tomorrow here, Sunday afternoon. We look forward to having you back here, and then of course we come back here next weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as Speed Weeks rolls on. Right now, we are about 4.5 laps from the conclusion of this Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire.
They may finish this. Hope they do.
So lights are out in the pace vehicle. We are going to go back to green flag. Again, Harrison Burton on the outside of row number 1. He is your race leader. Christian Eckes goes from the inside of row number 1 on this restart. He was your pole sitter yesterday. In pole qualifying, Christian Eckes established the fastest lap at over 183 miles an hour. They are teammates. They are Venturini Motorsports teammates, the front row. Pace car down pit lane, green flag, and we are back to racing. Harrison Burton. Harrison Burton on the restart. Christian Eckes tucks in to the second spot, and behind him they fan out 3 wide. 3 wide in the banking of turns 1 and 2. Brandon McReynolds way up towards the higher outside safer barrier, making that third groove, that third lane work on the number 28 Brandon McReynolds machine. Meanwhile, up front, the front 3 remain the same, and they are glued to the inside double yellow line. That freight train on the bottom is led by Harrison Burton.
So the top cars, 7 cars are single file as they come off the turn. Look at that outside lane. Brandon McReynolds has teamed up with Todd Gilliland to try to gain speed.
Saying, come on, man, let's go. We got to get up there to now. As we look at Kim Burton up there on our ISM Vision screens, that is Harrison's mom, and she is playing the role of nervous mother quite nicely as we're up the back straightaway. 3 to go. The youngster leads Harrison Burton over Christian Eckes and the number 23 machine, Gus D. Or check out Brett Holmes.
But look at Brandon McReynolds with drafting help from Todd Gilliland. They close inside the top 5. Now we're at the outside of turns 3 and 4 and a 2-car draft coming down to the line.
A 2-car draft coming down to the line where they will see 2 to go. Brandon McReynolds steps to the Quinlan moved Brandon McReynolds up to P4, and here comes Gilliland right on the 2.
They have worked their way leading that second draft. Now closing in on the top. Brandon McReynolds is there. Todd Gilliland getting him a big push off turn number 2. Closes to make it a 5-car draft in the final.
Down on the back straightaway. Brandon McReynolds into the outside safer barrier. We go caution. As there was 2 laps to go, and it was go time indeed. Also involved the number 32
Okay, I'm going to end the stream
Dean.
here. I'm going to see if I can stream it on. Okay, I'm going to end the stream.
Along with Gustine's number 32, badly damaged those 2 machines. Leilani Munter also involved in that as she rides around slowly on the apron of turns 3 and 4. Window net down on Brandon McReynolds, number 28 machine. His day in U.S. He was having a great run, and he and Todd Gilliland were making their way back up to the front in rapid order.
What a performance by those 2. I mean, this was 10 car lengths by the time they made it from 3 laps to go to 2 laps to go. Pushing hard, and that is one of the risks you play when you drop and lock bumpers here in Daytona. It was certainly entertaining for us to watch as they raced inside the top 5, but it didn't turn out the way they had hoped. Spinning off the back straightaway, Todd Gilliland into the back of Brandon McReynolds, went to the outside wall. We saw Gustine involved as well. His good run comes to an end here today, and we look up on the ISM Vision screen as Brandon McReynolds in that beautifully prepared Davey Allison tribute paint scheme. Had a good run today at the end, but it's going to come up a little bit short here in the closing laps.
Tough break indeed. Brandon McReynolds climbs out from the cockpit there on the number 28 machine. Meanwhile, Bobby Gerhardt, the 8-time Daytona winner, running inside the top 20, has brought his number 5 Lucas Oil machine down pit lane. Obviously an unscheduled pit stop, and there is the number 23 of Brett Holmes involved there on the back straightaway. Down pit lane to the safety of his pit crew. They're going to go to the right side of the number 23 as we get a good look at the reason why we are under caution here. Up on our ISM Vision screens, there you have a replay, the tail end of that caution, and here is how it started. Todd Gilliland in the number 4 machine giving a push to Brandon McReynolds up the back straightaway. And just watch for it. Here you go. McReynolds gets pushed into the 23. And that takes Brandon McReynolds into the outside safer barrier. 32 machine of Gus Dean involved, as is the 23 of Brett Holmes. Tough break for that trio of drivers. They had great runs here in this Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire.
There's Gus Dean's number 32, collected and then made contact with Brandon McReynolds after his car was spinning, showering sparks on the back straightaway. Now on board, you see here what the action was like and how quickly things fell apart on the back straightaway. Nowhere to go, into the outside wall. Contact for Gus Dean, and he goes spinning down to the inside lane. Another good run spoiled for him. And in the closing laps here in Daytona, absolutely anything can happen, and oftentimes it does.
And indeed it does. We are at the scheduled distance, 80 laps up on the scoreboard. Going to have an attempt here at a finish to put this one officially in the books, but we are now going into overtime, and all those drivers that made it to the halfway mark, now they have to start thinking about fuel preservation, as we have had the luxury of a couple of caution laps here, so that will give them a couple of extra laps of green flag fuel. But certainly we saw the drivers and the teams that made it to the halfway point before they had to pit. You have to think that the fuel is certainly, while it may not be an issue yet, it's starting to be an issue for some of these teams and drivers, as again they pitted just past the halfway mark. Their lone green flag or caution flag pit stop in this case here today.
So we've got some different players now up toward the front of the field. Harrison Burton still leading the way with Christian Eckes, and now Todd Gilliland. We saw how strong he was in pushing Brandon McReynolds up inside the top 5. He has now found his teammate in Natalie Deck.